Weight Loss with Plants, brought to you by the T. Colin Campbell Center for Nutrition Studies. I'm your host, Sharme Ridley. One of the biggest problems people encounter when losing weight is keeping the weight off in the long term. In fact, some reports state that as little as 3% of those losing significant amounts of weight are able to maintain their weight loss. Our next guest has defied those odds. He lost 150 pounds over 8 years ago and has kept it off over all these years. Please welcome Rich Hubbard. Thank you so much for joining us today, Rich.
Hello, everybody. I'm really happy to be here. I always want to share my story in hopes I inspire others. So I'm happy to be here.
Well, tell us about your struggle with weight loss. Give us that history.
Sure. It started after college. I gradually put on weight over the years. I wasn't exercising as much as I should. I was eating all the wrong foods, the standard American diet. I had a slow metabolism because I wasn't moving as much as other people, and just the weight kind of crept up over the years. And I found myself, like you said, over 150 pounds heavier than I am now. And I didn't realize that the health consequences at the time, but yeah, I was really getting unhealthy too in the process.
What was it that got your attention as far as your weight loss is concerned?
Yeah, it was my doctor's appointment, my initial doctor's appointment back in 2012. I had never done a physical since probably before college, so it was years. And seeing the doctor was a huge wake-up call. I already knew in the back of my mind that something would be wrong with my weight, because just looking in the mirror, I could tell that I was very heavy. I'm looking at pictures, but I would deny it to others. But in the back of my mind, just knowing what he might say at that physical scared me to death. And I'm also amazed I actually did the physical. I could have chose to pay a higher insurance premium for my work because they were changing requirements that year. But I chose to save some money and do the physical instead. And I'm very grateful I did. I'm actually grateful to the state of Connecticut for changing the requirements. They know my success story as well because of their insurance requirements. It's called HEP, Health Enhancement Program, and it changed my life. Not to plug them as well, but really, when you see your doctor after as many years as it was for me, it could be a huge wake-up call. So,
when did you begin your plant-based journey, and what led you in that direction?
Yeah, that was in 2012 after my doctor's appointment. I did every kind of research I could. Let me back up a little about my physical, because my doctor told me I had hypertension. That first visit, he wanted me to come back the next visit and make sure it was still high. And it was. And he threatened to put me on meds. So I did every kind of research I could to see what I could do to lower my blood pressure without going on meds. I also had elevated blood sugar and high cholesterol, but he wasn't as concerned about those for some reason. I guess the numbers weren't as bad as the blood pressure reading. But anyway, he wanted to get that under control. So it took a lot of research online. I'm a webmaster by trade. That's my living. So I turned to the internet. It's just a natural thing for me to do. So I searched what kind of foods to lower blood pressure. And every article I found really pointed to plant-based eating. That's how I discovered many of the plant-based doctors, T. Colin Campbell, Dr. Esselstyn, all of them. They're all my heroes, really. But one doctor who stood out during that time, I believe it was around April 2012, Dr. Furman was on Dr. Oz's show. I happened to be home from work that day. I don't know why, but it must have been fake because I caught that episode. And it changed my life when I saw Dr. Furman. He had talked about the G-BOMS foods. And for those who aren't familiar with that, it's greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds. And what struck a chord with me with him is it wasn't about weight loss, it was about getting healthy. And this is the first time I tried to lose weight by getting healthy. It wasn't really about getting the weight down. And I think that's what made the difference in me in losing the weight, was not concentrating on it, concentrating on my health instead. Because when you eliminate the foods for health, you're also helping your body weight indirectly.
So how did you do it? Was it gradual? Tell us about that process.
It was a very gradual process. Everybody's different. I know some people can dive in and just change overnight. For me, it was more gradual. I was plant-based with minimal animal products for about the first 4 years, maybe 3 or 4 years. I had minimal turkey or Greek yogurt, but I've always followed Dr. Furman's advice back then to always keep it vegan the next day after that. So, I eliminated foods gradually. Like the first year, I remember red meat was the first to go. That was like February or March 2012. And I remember reading an article somewhere that it could raise the blood pressure. So obviously I was looking for things to lower blood pressure. So that was one of the first to go. I had at one time, a year later, at a picnic at work, and I felt so sick afterwards. So that really opened my eyes to these bad foods and what it could do to your body even one more time. Anyway, beef was the first to go. I remember aspartame, that was another big one to go. And when you give up aspartame and salt, you have to start looking at ingredients. So what I was really doing was eliminating processed foods for the most part. I'd have like Lara bars or things like that, things with few ingredients, but things with added salt or added sugar, aspartame, those I got off my plate. And that was gradually throughout 2012. I decreased those foods. In 2013, I think I was, for the most part, free of a lot of processed foods, but still had the minimal animal products.
And so what are some staples in your house? What are some things that you go to on a regular basis?
Right. I always have to have the G-Bombs foods. That's number one. I don't know if I ever skipped a day. If I did, I'm not aware of it. Especially beans. It's a great source of protein, fiber, and so many Americans don't get enough fiber. So I always have to have more than enough in the house. I actually buy a small carton of black beans. Usually, the black beans are my favorite, and I open one a day of the carton. I get it from Whole Foods. Cans are okay too if you rinse the beans, but I prefer the box. I think it's a little bit safer. But other staples I have to have are oats. Every morning I start with steel-cut oats. I have to have things like goji berries. That's another go-to food for me. I have pumpkin seeds. I have to have those. I never run out of them. There are certain foods that I just have to keep on stock.
Yeah. What are some of the first improvements that, as far as your health is concerned, that other people noticed?
Well, obviously it was a weight for them. I didn't, I did notice, but I kind of downplayed it at first. I didn't want people to think I lost so much weight for some reason. So I was kind of shy about it at first. And I would deny it and say, oh, it was only 20 pounds. but that really was the first thing people would notice. The other thing, interestingly, I'll probably talk about this later more when I talk about why I went vegan. But when I went vegan, people would say they noticed a healthy glow. Was I on vacation? Because I looked so healthy. I'd already lost the weight, but they were commenting on my skin color. So different things like that along the way. So it wasn't just about weight, it was about health too.
Okay. You also talked about other people being inspired by you.
Yes.
Talk about some of those.
Yes. I have a friend, unfortunately he doesn't want to reveal his name yet, but he's a good friend of mine now, and I'm having him transition to nutritarian lifestyle. And I'm really proud of him. He's lost 80 pounds so far. Eventually he'll reveal his name, I'm sure. But I'm so proud of people when they look at my story and they want to change. It really makes me feel good because I do want to help others. And also my mom, she essentially reversed her type 2 diabetes. I mean, she doesn't need her medication every day, which is a wonderful thing. She was taking metformin for years, and her blood sugar last time she checked was like 90. So different stories like that really make me happy. Just to know that people are listening. It's not just about weight. They're changing because they want to get healthy too. They heard my story, and they know that I didn't want to go on meds. One of my friends, he doesn't want to stay on his meds anymore. That's one of his goals, to get off his meds. So I'm proud of these stories. And whenever I've done wellness challenges in the past, like in 2012, that was a big thing for me, doing wellness challenges, competing with a team of 4. My teammates, they were all motivated by me. They want to lose the weight, and it felt good, helping others.
Yeah. Now, your doctor is the one who got you wanting to lose weight, and,
Yes.
and he gave you that 6 months. Now, you talk about some subsequent visits with your doctor.
Oh, I'd be happy to. The first six months, I think I saw him one time, like maybe a month in, but it was like a 6-month appointment later. He was shocked. He told me that he never thought I could do it because none of his other patients have ever done it. And he was really amazed. And at that point, it was only like, I don't know, 60, 70 pounds so far. And when I saw him at the year mark, that really was amazing to him. And anybody that has lost the weight told me they gained it back. I was the first to, to stay on course. And I saw him for another couple of years, and I still stayed on course. He was amazed. He ended up retiring in 2014, 2015. So I got a new doctor, and my doctor, he doesn't really understand plant-based eating. So I actually got another doctor now in another part of Connecticut who's plant-based, and I'm actually going to be starting with him soon. So even though my doctor didn't push back on my healthy eating, he was shocked that I wasn't eating things like eggs and chicken and things like that. So I figured I want to find someone new. So that's something new that's happening in my life, having a plant-based doctor. And I also saw Dr. Scott Harrington last year. He's an online telehealth doctor. He's completely plant-based, and he gave me a thorough examination, and I highly recommend plant-based doctors if you can. But I do say though that first doctor, plant-based or not, he really did open my eyes, and I do think it's important to see a doctor whether they're plant-based or not. I did want to stress that because people shouldn't avoid healthcare just because their doctor may not be plant-based.
Yes, but that is exciting that you've been able to find one who is plant-based. That is just
I'm
wonderful.
looking forward to it.
Now, tell us about some milestones that you enjoyed along your journey.
Sure.
Tell us about some milestones.
I'd be happy to. I guess the first one that really stands out is I did my first half marathon. I think it was in 2019. I became a runner back in probably 2016, 2017. I had so much energy. I was exercising every day. It's a natural involvement, I guess, into running. And it felt so awesome to just be able to complete a half marathon. I think very few people can say they've actually done one. And then in 2020, I did another virtual one. I was running myself, but I did do another half marathon. In 2021, I did injure my knee, but I plan to get back into running. I had my kneecap I injured in college, and the injury kind of, sort of came back. So I have to wear a knee brace when I work out, but until the knee is stable. Once it's stable, then I can get back into heavy running. Right now, I'm just following doctor's orders, but that was a huge milestone during the running. Also, the wellness challenges I was telling you about earlier. We came in first during many of the wellness challenges. I probably did like 3 or 4 of them, and that was an awesome achievement. Another thing was when I hit that 100-pound mark on my weight loss. I felt like celebrating because I never thought I would reach such a milestone. Another milestone over the years was when my BMI was finally under the overweight limit. For years, even after I lost the weight, it was still in the overweight area. That's because of muscle. I wasn't really heavy, but to get under 25, that was just awesome to me.
Yeah, that is. I know that's really, really exciting to be able to get to that magic BMI number.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I don't want people to focus so much on BMI because sometimes, like I say, it could be muscle, but you can tell it just by looking in the mirror if obesity is still a problem, as you're losing weight. So try not to concentrate on BMI. If it's a little over 25, you're probably doing well, and I wouldn't worry.
Now, how important has exercise as a whole been to you?
That has been very important. Eating this way, you get so much energy, way more than before I started eating this way. I would sit for 8 hours a day at my desk job, hardly getting up. And I remember back in 2010 when I was getting up after sitting all day, my legs would be so stiff and didn't want to even move because I was sitting that long. And what a difference. Now I get up every hour. I wear the Apple Watch just to remind me to stand. And I even if I forgot, I'd probably remember to stand. But just to walk around, work a little bit just to get the circulation going. But I have the energy to do it now, and I feel great. I work out 5 days a week. I do strength training 5 days a week. And I always get a minimum of 10,000 steps a day ever since the wellness challenges. If I skipped a day, it was like maybe 1 or 2. Like if I was too sick to do it one day. Of course, it would kill me that I couldn't because I'm so obsessive about it now. But yeah, there might have been 1 or 2 days that I skipped. And of course, my knee injury, I couldn't do it at that time. But,
what are some specific inspirations that you found along the way to help keep you on your journey?
I'm glad you asked that. Besides Dr. Furman, who I got a shout out to again, he's really a hero. And Colin Campbell, all of those doctors, they inspire me every day. But there's different people who inspired me. There's Anthony Masello, a friend of mine, Josh Lajani. These people are plant-based runners, and they inspired me. They have similar stories how they lost so much weight, and they became runners. And another huge influence for me was Tim Kaufman. He's still a major influence and incredible because he'll tell you a story if you speak with him about how he's had a recent surgery because of an injury he had, and he refused the painkillers because he didn't want to go back into that lifestyle. And it's these kind of people and that kind of attitude that just influence my everyday life. And also one other further shout out, Robert Cheek, the vegan bodybuilder. I'm not sure if this is part of another question, but he was a huge influence in my life. He's the reason I became a full-blown vegan. I was always ethical, but I didn't really make the transition to veganism until I met Robert Cheek. I met him online. I did meet him in person eventually, but he was a bodybuilder right when I was looking for tips on how to build muscle without using whey protein. Because my trainer at the time, he was pushing, believe it or not, 200 grams of protein. he was insane. And my doctor even told me if I did that, I would destroy my kidneys. And so why do that? He was totally against that. So because of his advice and because I got sick trying the whey protein, I researched vegan bodybuilders. Or maybe it was bodybuilders in general. I don't remember, but I stumbled upon Robert Cheek. And I saw, oh my God, I could do this without protein powder. He was an amazing inspiration. I bought his book, Shredded. He has another book out now called Plant-Based Athletes. I highly recommend it. Shredded changed my life. He had a journal called Shredded also. It was a Shredded journal to keep track of your workouts. It lasted for 13 weeks. And what I did was I committed myself to 13 weeks of being completely vegan, eating completely healthy G-BOMS foods. I'm sticking with that plan. And, all they did was increase my calories during that time. And I actually built more muscle doing Robert Cheek's plan than I ever did with animal products. And I felt so good after 13 weeks. And I felt, I don't even know how to put in words. I felt so happy that I wasn't abusing animals anymore, that I didn't have to, that I never, ever went into back to animal products ever again. After that, I was initially going to be just a challenge, thinking that it was only temporary, but I never wanted to go back into it after that. And that's why Robert Cheek is a huge inspiration to me.
Yeah, it's amazing how you used to shy away from discussing your progress, and now you'll share it with anybody who will listen.
I guess
and you've already talked about. Go ahead.
I guess it's because, well, for one thing, I get used to it, but another, I really want to help people. That's why I do these stories, because I'm hoping I'll reach somebody who, like one of my friends I mentioned earlier, who, they were in my shoes back in 2012, and they want to change, and I want them to realize it's possible. So that's really why I share. And
Now, and you've also written a book in order to share your story. Tell us about your book.
Yes, the reason I did is because, even at the gym, people had asked me how I lost the weight, and that's a lot to get into when it's a quick discussion at the gym. But they're really interested, and I thought I really got to get my story out there, so that people could read it. So I had a goal in 2020 because I had a little extra time because I couldn't go to the gym to work out. I had to do home workouts. So I thought I'm going to actually finish the book this year during 2020. So I made that deal with myself. I didn't finish till December that year, but I'm really proud that I did.
Tell us the name of it.
It's called The Plant-Based Journey to Health. You can find it on Amazon. I'm hoping, I've heard that it helped others, and that it's inspirational, and I'm hoping I could help more people as well.
Yeah. Now, you have been maintaining your weight for a long time,
Yes.
way more than the average person.
Yes.
What advice would you have for someone to not necessarily lose the weight, but to maintain it for years and years? What's some advice you'd give them?
Well, one thing, even while a person's losing the weight, but also during the journey after, is take it one day at a time. Never ever look at the whole picture because it's too overwhelming. Also, the big advice, especially for those who are maintaining, you got to find foods that you enjoy. I do enjoy the G-BOMS foods. I discover new foods every day. This year, I just did a blog about it actually recently, about some of the foods I discovered this year. I've been eating things like guava, tamarind. I don't know if you heard of tamarind. There are so many foods out there that people never try. People think plant-based foods are limited. But just go in the grocery store, look at some of the exotic produce. The produce that you've been avoiding all those years with the animal products. There is so much out there that you never think of trying. And I also tried something some people would think is processed, but pumfu. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's like tofu, but it's made out of pumpkin seeds instead. And I really enjoyed that. Pumpkin seeds are actually the only ingredient in it. So I figured that's okay. I just had a small serving because pumpkin seeds, unfortunately, are high in calories. I could eat a whole bag, but I wouldn't because they're so high in calorie. But that is really the best advice, is to find foods you enjoy and just focus on those foods, to eat as much as you can. Really enjoy the foods. And also, if there's certain cheat days, I avoid cheat days, but I will say if somebody has to have a certain food, get back on the bandwagon right away. Never beat yourself up over it. I have so many friends who get discouraged just because of a bad day, but just get right back on the bandwagon. Never give up. Too many people think, oh, I eat bad for this day or this vacation, and it's too late. It isn't. It's not too late.
I love that. I love that. Get right back on it
You have
and
to.
don't give up.
The only thing I won't do is cheat on my veganism. As I said, I'm ethical, but everybody has to find that within them. So I carefully look at the ingredients. But Thanksgiving, for example, every year I have a vegan pumpkin pie. There's a local bakery that makes it without coconut oil. So I do allow myself that because I love it, for one thing, and it's gotten to be a tradition. And also, if you don't mind me sharing this, every Thanksgiving for the past few years, I've been donating to local food pantries. I also did a GoFundMe last year and this year where I'm raising funds to donate plant-based meals to food pantries. And I just keep it local for my area because even people who are homeless, there's got to be some ethical people out there, and they don't really want these foods, but they have no choice. So I want even just anybody to try these foods because I want people to realize how good you can feel. And maybe I'll give them the idea to buy more produce and more beans. And so my condition with the food pantries, I already told them, is to give it to somebody who's willing to try a plant-based meal. And I can't prove it, but I'm asking them to tell them no animal products that day and just see how they feel.
So, what are your future goals toward in the plant-based world?
Right. Well, like I said, I'd love to be some kind of coach. That's one of my goals. I'm thinking of writing another book. I want to do I don't know if I should share too much yet. This is not out yet, but I'd love to do a kind of a compilation book of weight loss stories of my friends, because there's so many incredible stories out there. And
There really are.
And I'd also like to do another book. I guess I have big plans. Another book on how to transition to a plant-based diet. Just really focusing on that, not so much of my story, but just how to do it, because so many people have questions about that. I also plan to expand my website, rebrand it. Right now it's called healthylivingct.com, but eventually it'll be rebranded because I want to have it more global. And expand my podcast. So, and that's just a few of the goals. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is exciting, especially for someone who shied away from telling anyone about what he was doing.
Yeah. I know quite a difference telling people, oh, I didn't lose that much weight, to not being open about it.
Exactly. So let's end by your giving someone words of encouragement, someone who, number one, needs to lose weight and who is willing to try a plant-based diet. Give some words of encouragement.
Right. I'll act like I'm speaking to my friend because I told him the same thing. You really have to know your why. You have to, figure out why you're doing this. Is it because of health? If it's because of health, put that as the number one priority. Do you have? Are you worried about getting diabetes? That's a big problem if it's in your family. Do you really want to wait till the last minute until you're diagnosed? Make the change now. And if you find out you're pre-diabetic, you got to make that your priority. You got to eliminate the foods now that are making you sick. Do the research. I always recommend books like How Not to Die, How Not to Diet, books by Dr. Greger. My favorite, Dr. Furman, what's the name of this book? The End of Diabetes, The End of Heart Disease. All of his books. Eat to Live is another famous book of his. The China Study, you got to read those books. Another powerful thing, I always tell my friends, something that woke up me back when the movie came out, is watch What the Health. That movie changed my life. There are other documentaries, Forks Over Knives, I highly recommend too. I just happened to watch What the Health probably first. That really opened my eyes. Seeing the poor communities and the horrible conditions they have to live in because of the slaughterhouses, and it's just too much to watch. It was just a huge wake-up call, and I highly recommend documentaries to them, as my advice. And as I said earlier, make sure you take it one day at a time. Never ever look at the whole picture, because I have a friend who says, "Oh, I guess this is the last day I'll ever eat chicken." If he thinks of it like that, well, he's going to cheat, because then he's going to crave and he's going to be constantly thinking about that. Oh my God, it's the last time. Why focus on that? Just focus on, what foods do you want today? Maybe you'll find something that you really like over the chicken, and then you'll stop thinking about it.
Right. Well, Rich, thank you so much for being our guest today. Your story is so inspiring and can serve as a testament that successful weight loss is definitely possible, especially when following a plant-based diet.
Yes, and that's what I want to stress. It really is possible. I mean, whoever thought? I'd be the last person to believe I would keep it off for almost 10 years now. Honestly, I never thought I could do it. If I looked at the whole picture, like I said, imagine being over 350 pounds and thinking, oh my God, I have so much weight to lose. I didn't think of it like that. It's about health, and I didn't think about the numbers. So it can be done. Just make sure you focus on your health, and you can get there.
Okay. Thank you again.
Yep. I enjoyed it.